Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. It is the Bachelor Supreme, the master of the deceptive arts, he who remains, the Phantom Menace, and the Ancient One here. And I'm here to talk to you today. In fact, I wanted to continue our discussion today about secrets, and in particular, keeping your vasectomy a secret, and maybe go into some details about how you should go about keeping that vasectomy a secret. Your most prized secret, right? And what really brought this about was today's article, which I was reading. You know, I'm always reading and I'm always online, really going through old and new articles, information, even dating back thousands of years. I'll read it. I'll absolutely read it. And if it applies, I'll use it. I have no limits as to what information I will take and where I'll take it from. But today's article was about a gentleman called Chris, right? And it's really about him and the secret vasectomy that he got. But more than just the vasectomy, it's about the effects that it had, in particular to his counterparts. You see, what we're talking about is the power of the vasectomy. And yesterday we talked about the motivating factor, the power behind keeping a secret, and how that can motivate and energize you even in just the most immaculate way. So the power that this article demonstrates is really what I preach and teach and discuss every day. It's really what the philosophy is about. It's about getting the vasectomy, really empowering yourself, and then keeping it a secret and only using it when you absolutely have to, right? This is not the kind of thing you should be showing off, right? Now, there are some things that Chris does right. By the way, that's not his real name. He's just, it's a pseudonym that they use in the article. So for the sake of consistency, I will be calling this gentleman Chris, right? So he does a few things right with his vasectomy. But there's a few things that I don't recommend doing. And we will analyze this article and see what Chris did and what he didn't do. It's really given from the point of view of his wife. So much of it we will have to surmise from our own experience and the experiences of men in that situation, right? But the first thing that Chris got wrong is that he got married and then had a kid and then got a vasectomy, right? So I don't recommend doing that. I absolutely don't recommend doing that. Because you're preventing not having a child after having a child. That's a bit of a contradiction, right? But then what he tried to do was he tried to keep his vasectomy a secret. And unfortunately, he had left a paper trail that the counterpart could uncover and discover. Now, I mean, I tried to warn you all the time, and I said all the time, you have to try keep this thing off the books. You have to keep it off the books. It has to be like a rumor, an unprovable rumor, to the point where even if you say it, then some people might have doubts. And if you don't say it, people will still have doubts. Is it true? Isn't it true? Oh, but he doesn't have kids. Oh, but that doesn't mean he got a vasectomy still, right? There's still doubts. And you want to sow those seeds of doubt. You want people who know for sure to meet people who are uncertain, and for those people to argue semantics, right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to leave a paper trail, a digital footprint, or anything like that. Um, I do have a small paper trail in that I had to pay for it somehow, right? So that transaction exists, but that transaction only exists in my private accounts. So it's not on like, and it was so long ago. Even if I got a statement, it wouldn't reflect, right? And also, when it does reflect on the statement, it just reflects as a payment to a medical professional. It doesn't say for what, right? So it's still covered and covered and covered in layers and layers of deception, right? This is really what you need, layers and layers of lies. But if you're using medical insurance, that can be very difficult to hide, especially if you're married, or if you are a young man, 18, 19, 20, which I still recommend that you get a vasectomy even at that age. If you know you don't want that responsibility of fatherhood, you should be able to protect yourself, right? Even at 18 years old. So go get a vasectomy, right? Go get a vasectomy. But if you're at that age and you're on like your parents' medical insurance, 18, 19, maybe even a college student, 21, it'll be difficult for you to hide it from those people. But if maybe one of your parents knows, or your parents know, and they approve, I don't think you need their approval at 18 years old. But if you don't want to go into a procedure and your parents don't know where you're going, right? That's a problem at 18. But if they somehow do approve it, right, it can be a family secret, and they'll keep it. They'll really keep your secret. This particular secret, they'll keep, right? But for those of you that have doubt, I recommend freezing your sperm and then getting a vasectomy. Freezing your sperm will dissuade your doubt. It'll give you the confidence that you need to go ahead, and the advantage really that you need. I say all the time, I froze 1 billion sperm. I can repopulate all of China and India, or India rather, right? I can repopulate all of the United States 3 times. That's 1 billion sperm. So it's a confident amount, right? So freeze your sperm, then get your vasectomy, and then go into the romance war, or what some of you might call a relationship, right? And then you'll be engaging in these romance wars, in these relationships, from an advantage and a position of power. And this is something that happened in Chris's relationship, where he was in a weakened position, and then he suddenly regained his power in an immaculate way. And that dynamic caused a tremendous amount of friction in his relationship. And we're going to see that being described, right? But in my opinion, you don't want to do this after you've gotten married, or if you've been in a long-term relationship with a girlfriend or something like that, right? Because, or if you're like living with people who know you very well, right? Because because people are going to notice the change and the difference in you, right? Even if like it's a physical difference, right? And it's really a mental shift also. Your whole life you've always known that you can have kids and you can have those kids in a particular way. It's really been the dominant thought in the back of your mind. Am I going to have kids? Am I going to be a father? What kind of father am I going to be? Who am I going to choose? Why? This is why dating is so popular. Because the likelihood of getting someone inseminated is very high. And if it happens in a moment of weakness, a moment where you lack preparation, or a moment where you lack discipline or self control, you might live to regret it. You really might live to regret it, right? But once you do, you have to understand that people who know you very well, first of all, they're going to notice the injury because for the next few days after the vasectomy, so even if you have it like, even if you go to work on Friday and you do it after work, or you do a half day and you do it after work, and then you go home, however you go home, right? People are going to see that, wait a minute, you're in recovery over the next few days, and you're going to need to justify that occurrence somehow. So even if you say, oh, I had a groin injury, I mean, you're going to have to justify your groin injury somehow, right? So people who know you are going to notice that first. Then they're going to notice your personality change, you know. And in truth, you're going to need time to adjust. You're really going to need time to adjust because suddenly you're just not worried about things that you used to worry about. You're really not concerned about things that you used to worry about. For instance, a counterpart's personality, values, beliefs, even religion mattered before I got a vasectomy. I mean, those things were absolutely important. And they were only important because of the idea that these were things that would need to be passed down to, my offspring, my children, my descendants. And I would like some positive traits to be in them, even though I don't necessarily agree with, morality as it's been, you know, given to us and taught to us in modern times. There is a value to it in terms of raising children that aren't going to be deceiving you and stabbing you in the back. So there is an inherent value in teaching them to be honest. But in truth, that value to me is extremely limited, right? It is really something that, especially after the vasectomy, really didn't mean all that much to me, right? And these mental changes, right? You need time to allow yourself to adjust to this new reality and these new thoughts. And you need to settle yourself before going into or going back into the romance wars. This is a very serious adjustment and something that a lot of people don't really talk about. When you're in a relationship, let's say you're married, and if I'm thinking this, you can be sure every vasectomite thought this too. But let's say hypothetically you're married like Chris was, and you get a vasectomy, and you realize that you can literally be intimate with any willing participant with no fear of consequence. And if I know this, that means Chris knows it and his wife knows it. She knows that if she goes out and is intimate with somebody, She could get pregnant. It could destroy her life. You only need one interaction with one wrong person to destroy your life. But Chris, on the other hand, he could do whatever the hell he wants. He really can, you know. And for him, as well as I would say, even for myself, you do need to have a time to adjust and to settle mentally. And Chris wasn't given that. That was really a mistake that he made, right? Because he was right in the relationship, So he made a few mistakes that we're going to look at. But if you have a counterpart and a close counterpart before, during, and after a vasectomy, they will absolutely notice that difference, right? And when they do, it's going to make them suspicious, right? It's going to make them want to know what's happening, right? And that's what you'll notice happened to our protagonist, Chris, right? One of the things that happened to me was that I stopped tolerating things that I tolerated before, quirks and jokes, things that bothered me, right? And I tolerated them. And there were people who would instigate those things knowing that they bothered me, but they do it to amuse themselves at my expense. And I really stopped tolerating that. And things that didn't make any logical sense to me, like especially financial or wasteful financial expenditure that I didn't approve with, that I didn't agree with, and quite frankly didn't serve me, right? Things like that. For people who see that transition, it can make them quite suspicious. It can make them suddenly wonder, why aren't you giving up this money so easily when before you did? And you have no interest in them now, right? There's no need for you to be funding a counterpart, especially a counterpart. If you stop giving a counterpart money, they notice that quickly, right? So, and if you stop tolerating them, they notice that very quickly. One of the things I stopped doing was I stopped laughing at people's jokes. I still do at work, right? I still really try to engage in my colleagues in what I believe is a positive and respectful way. But really, I try to be more respectful to my colleagues than I try to be funny. I don't really think I pull off the joking very, very much. And I think the counterpart likes jokes, right? And I stopped tolerating those jokes. I really don't have. I mean, I like a good joke as much as the next person, but you have to be funny. I'm not just gonna laugh just because you made a joke. You have to nail that joke, man. You have to bring it home. You have to hit that punchline just right. You have to get the tone, you have to get the wording. You have to really bring a joke home for it to be funny. And you got to build it up nicely, naturally, right? You can't just come in and repeat words that another person said that you like and anticipate that I'll like them coming out of your mouth, which probably won't happen, right? And that's gonna cause suspicion, right? Another thing I did was I stopped binge watching these series. Everybody's watching these shows, these series. I stopped watching too much mainstream news, right? Although I still find value in it, to just keep you abreast. But in truth, I've kind of heard it all before. It's not to say that, the lies are better or worse now than they were before. But we're sort of living in cycles. How many elections can a man look at? How many financial crises can a man endure, right? Before you sort of realize the economy is not going anywhere and the politics aren't going anywhere. How many social revolutions can you see? You've seen them all, man, and they're all on TV. And yet, politics still continues. So, I sort of cut that out. But I did start to listen to more audiobooks and then listen to them again So it wasn't just that I was listening to audiobooks or I was reading more. I was reading and rereading different things. And I was, in fact, studying different things and improving in different things. And people noticed those small changes and it made them suspicious, right? I stopped trying to help people, especially these little kids. You know, when you see a kid doing something and you jump in the way to stop them hurting themselves, you know. And I just let people live with the consequences of their decision, you know, which is great. Which is great. You know, what you see is that there are people who deliberately go out of their way to manufacture emergencies and catastrophes. They really go out of their way to put themselves in harm's way. And what they will do is induce in you, they'll like put themselves in a situation where you have to spur into action on their behalf. And they'll do it in a place and a time and in a way where you'll notice them and they will give you the opportunity to save them. And I sort of stopped, right? I would watch a person tumble and tumble all the way, you know, and people notice that and they'd say, well, why didn't you help me? And I'd say, why did you jump? You know, and things like that will start arguments because they will believe that it's your responsibility as the man, as the male, as the provider, as the protector to jump into harm's way on their behalf, which is absurd. I'm not doing that, you know? Like, like they will jump off a ledge backwards in a bizarre and incomprehensible angle, hoping that you will leap into a position where you risk yourself in order to save them and prevent them doing harm to themselves. But after the vasectomy, I didn't even flinch. I really didn't flinch. People would be telling me about their financial problems, and I couldn't care less. I really couldn't care less. The only thing that I heard people, when people were saying, oh, I'm in financial dire straits, all I heard was, I squandered my money and now I need you to squander yours. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I just watched people send themselves to hospital, you know, hospitals that they couldn't afford, and have bizarre discussions about treatment that was outside of their capacity to pay, you know, and listening to specialists discussing concepts and theories that they don't understand and recommend prescriptions that they don't really know what the medicine is going to do to them, you know. And I'd sort of just watch this and think to myself, you know, isn't it just better for us to care for our health? And they would ignore my advice just for them to seek my solution. You know what I mean? And men know this all the time. When you tell somebody, don't do this, it's bad for you, it's going to hurt you. Then they do it, find out it's bad for them. And it's only when they experience the excruciating hurt that they come back and say, well, why are you not protecting me? It's like, no, I'm not going to protect you from yourself. I'm not protecting a person from themselves. Absolutely not. It's one thing to protect you from an external danger, but if you're holding the weapon to your head and threatening to shoot, hoping that I will somehow jump in and catch the bullet, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. And I'm not saying that I can't catch bullets. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm not faster than a speeding bullet. I'm saying it's not worth my while to catch that bullet. That's really what I'm trying to say, you know. And people got upset, right? Because they really believe that sacrificing, especially as a man, people believe that sacrificing yourself and your well-being and your safety, you know, is your natural role, right? And this is your designated position in life. They really believe that, oh, the ancient one has arrived. I can now act a fool. And upon realizing that you would not be assisting them the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, there's really not a fifth time. They really stop. And if they don't stop, they just go to somebody else. And I don't think the counterpart can stop. Like I said, the counterpart has really no power for accomplishment. So, what they will do is if they are injury prone, they will continue to be injury prone. And what they'll then do is find somebody to jump in place of them so they can hurt that person instead of themselves, or they'll find someone who will pay for their recovery and healing, right? These people are always healing, right? And this is a position that I rejected, and I reject it today. I reject being a protector and a provider. Absolutely. I am not doing that, right? And Chris did too in his own way, and we're going to see it in this article. He he was in that role, and he didn't want it. And he doesn't say it because it's written from the counterpart's perspective, and it's written by another counterpart, but he really didn't want to play the protector and the provider role, right? And he acted it out, even though he doesn't really say it explicitly, right? And while I was being vocal and to a limited extent public in my opinion, right? Chris has been or has had a silent protest, right, in his own home. And his silence was deafening, right? And that deafening silence is what really induced the counterpart to look further, right? It brought them to make him suspicious and paranoid, and they started to look further. But the only reason why I'm able to be vocal is because I've hidden my face, and I'll continue to hide my face, right? It's not a question of graphics. What graphics? What graphics, right? So it's really not that. It's really me trying to have an honest conversation. But I know I can't show my face. I cannot be the face of a vasectomy, right? I mean, I can be the voice of the vasectomites, but not the face. Oh no, no, it would ruin my life, and it'll ruin yours too, right? This is something that we have too few people, and they'll demonstrate this in the article. There are too few people doing it to make it safe for us to come out publicly. So yeah, don't tell anyone about your vasectomy, because when she found out, the counterpart, I mean, she blew up, and you could tell that she's going to be angry for a while, and it really comes back to, you know, hiding your tracks, dusting off your tracks, behind you as you move and as you make this move. Because, while you try to keep it off the books, it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. I got my urologist to print out all the prints out, and it's signed. So, like, although I have his email and those kinds of things, there's really not much of an email correspondence. Everything was done face to face or telephonically, and all the documents were signed in person. And none of them were scanned and sent to me, right? So, I did my best, right? But you have to make sure that your secret stays secret. You have to do that, or people will resist and they will rebel against you. Then you have no idea what they'll do, just like Chris and his wife. And we're going to find out now by reading this delightful article what really happened to this man. But he really should have kept that secret locked up. Absolutely. The article is entitled, My Husband Agreed to Having a Big Family, Then He Got a Vasectomy and Didn't Tell Me. So there's a caption below the header, but below that is the author, whom I'd like to give credit to. It's written by Amelia Randall. It says GAU writer. I don't know what GAU stands for. It was published on the 19th of May 2024. And it is from the Mirror, which I believe is a UK publication. And this article was found in the lifestyle section of that publication. It reads, The mom of one cannot bear to look at the messages from her husband and said she was left feeling stupid and disgusted after discovering his devastating secret and years of lies. Oh, just nothing but deception. I'm loving it already. This is why I featured it. I read it already and I said, oh, this is going to be delightful, especially for you students of the deceptive arts, those of you who are learning to embrace the deceptive ways. You are going to love this article. It's nothing but lies. It's nothing but lies. It continues further at the bottom. One woman who dreamed of having a big family and at least 4 children with her husband thought she was infertile. Imagine, only to make the horrific discovery that her partner had had a vasectomy after their first child. Oh, glorious. She wanted 4 children. And I mean, he must have thought absolutely not. He must have thought absolutely not. Imagine 4 kids, right? And then now you find out, she says, to make the horrific discovery. So she thought she was infertile. So she was really trying to have these kids. She really thought she was the problem. You see how powerful this deception can be? Man, you really need to get a vasectomy and then not tell anyone, and they just blame themselves. They just blame themselves. It's even better, they just lie to themselves. The 31-year-old wife, it continues, made it clear that her husband, who she refers to by the pseudonym Chris, so Chris is not his real name, had said from the start he shared her hopes of having a large family and that money was not a concern. You see, now right there, we're lying. How is money not a concern? Money is the primary concern. Money is the primary concern. So they talked about it, and she said she wants 4 kids minimum, and she's not budging. And he thought he could love her to common sense, and she just got probably more demanding. And, I can't imagine somebody saying money is not a concern in 2024. But there's some people who like to say those things and live that life, right? They really like to live a life where they act like they either have an unlimited amount of money, which is not true. Nobody has that. Or that money is coming in so frequently that they can spend it recklessly and they'll be able to do it for the rest of their lives, which is never true for anyone. Rich people run out of money all the time. That's why I say money is not your salvation. It's a beautiful thing to have. And I say it all the time, money comes first, but use the money you have to get a vasectomy. Because otherwise you'll see yourself in a situation. Just imagine this. You are negotiating 4 children. You are negotiating the lives of 4 children. And you're telling somebody that the cost means nothing. You're looking at almost $10 million in 25 years of expenditure. I mean, that's absurd. Because you're not having all those kids at the same time. You're not having all those kids at the same time. So money is a concern. This was before her husband's lies would leave her at sea in months of confusion and desperation as she tried to conceive a second child. This is a vasectomite's dream come true. This is the Holy Grail, man. This is theater. No, it's opera. This is the crescendo of opera, you know? When somebody's deliberately trying to get pregnant on you, but you don't want those kids, and they are just pushing it, and then one day they'll come in and say they're pregnant, and then you activate your vasectomy power. Oh, the Holy Grail, you know. Listen to these words. They say her husband's lies would leave her at sea in months of confusion and desperation. The power of the vasectomy strikes again. Following the shock discovery, she posts on Reddit, Amelia, your words are staggering. Let's continue. She really brings it on home, doesn't she? Amelia says, following the shock discovery, she posts on Reddit saying, I don't know what to do. After Chris had offered her words of comfort and encouragement, all whilst he made it impossible for the couple to have a second child. So while she was struggling and feeling bad, he was there consoling her, lifting her spirits, telling her, don't worry, honey, we'll try again tonight. Oh, Chris, you scoundrel. So they already had a child and they wanted a second one. She added, Chris and I have been married for 4 years, together for 6. When we first got together, we had several long talks about how we both wanted a family. So she's 31 years old. 6 years ago, she was 24. So she was very young when they met. No, not too young. I suppose you're already a grown adult. You've been an adult for a few years now. So maybe not too young. 24 seems just about right. 24, 25 really is when they met. So they had long talks, long discussions about how they both wanted a family. No, she had long talks and she had nagging discussions about how she wanted a big family. And he just capitulated. So he lied. He absolutely lied. Chris didn't want nothing to do with a big family. I wanted to be very upfront that child free is not an option. Child free is not an option. Nah, I'm out. You know, you tell me those words, child free is not an option, I'm absolutely out. But as a vasectomite, means nothing to me. In fact, I am Mr. Child Free, right? I am Mr. Child Free. And I said I wanted to have at least 4 kids. I'm an only child and know how lonely it is. I also said I wanted to have them about a year or year and a half apart so they could grow up close. So I kind of did the numbers in my head. And I mean, we're looking at about 8 to 10 years of just childbirthing. And I worked it up to, so if the first child is born year 1, and you having kids steadily over a year and a half or 2 years, because it's really going to be a year and a half in between, maybe 2 years for some, and don't have twins in between that. Like if she has twins, yeah, that's a problem. Now she's already 31. So if this is happening for about 10 years, she may be 41 when she has these kids, the last kid. And if IVF is the option that you choose, then twins are very likely. Then you go from having 4 to 6 in no time, right? And so, you're looking at 10 years of this. And, when the first kid turns 21, you still have 10 years left. So you're looking at 30 years of child raising. 30 years, that's your entire life. That is your whole life, just raising these kids. We did the cost of just birthing the child, and we brought it up to like $30,000. $30,000 a birth. So with 4 kids, you're looking at 120,000. This is just without IVF. With IVF, it's $100,000 per insemination. So you're looking at $100,000 just to bring those kids into life, and millions to raise them all the way through college, right? So I can see how Chris got to the point where he just felt it's she I could be raising these kids for 30 years, or I could leave her at sea in months of confusion and desperation. And leaving her out at sea, it just seems more feasible to me, you know. And I commend Chris for his lies and his deep deception. I mean, months, Chris. You, my friend, you're an artist, Chris. You're a true artist. He always wholeheartedly agreed to this and often made jokes like whether we have 4 or 6 kids. You see, there I told you, IVF, you're looking at 6. Have as many as we want. It's your call since you pretty much have to do all the work. So, Chris is full of jokes. There we go with the jokes again. You guys need to really stop with these jokes. Like, you'll say something thinking it's a joke, and now you're having problems because your wife expects 3 more kids out of this marriage, and you were just joking. You need to take these things seriously. The woman said she felt it was important to emphasize that money was truly no object, adding, I make about 20K or 20,000 more a year than him, and the 5 bedroom house that we live in was a gift from my mom, MUM. So this is absolutely from the UK, who was very excited to be a grandma to many. She says she makes $20,000 more than him. This is an inconsequential amount of money. Not to say that it's not a lot of money, but in the hands of a counterpart, 20,000 means nothing. That's first of all. Secondly, while she's having 4 kids, she's not working. So while she's making 20,000 now, she's not going to be working while she's pregnant and raising 4 kids and going to work full time. Absolutely not. So that's why I say that amount of money in her hands is inconsequential. I'm telling you the truth. If she just had a baby and she wants to have one in a year and a half, in 18 months, she gets 9 months of recovery, and then she's pregnant again while she's raising a 1-year-old. Then she gets 9 months of recovery, and then she's pregnant again while she's raising 2 kids now. Now she's raising 2 kids and pregnant and working full time? No way. These are people who can't even fold towels. These are people who can't successfully be housewives. I mean, they are bad at being housewives. How do you mess up being a housewife? You telling me she's going to continue a job where she earns 20,000 more than her counterpart, than her man, than her partner? Absolutely not. This is not sustainable. And raise kids and pay the rates and the levies and the government taxes and the water and the electricity and the internet and the phone bill for this house that she inherited? No, I don't see it. I really don't see it. I think Chris was right to leave her out at sea for months in confusion and desperation. Even on their wedding day, Chris was cracking jokes. Oh, these jokes, guys, you need to stop with these jokes about how quickly they could have a baby. On our wedding day, before we left the reception for our honeymoon, he whispered, Can we get out of here and get started on baby number one? I loved how excited he seemed. To be clear, I didn't go off my BC, birth control, until about 2 months after we were married, and I got pregnant soon after with our first daughter, Joy. Yes, yes, they named the child Joy. It's the jokes again, right? So what he's saying is he wants to get intimate with his lovely bride. She thinks he wants to go and consummate the marriage by conceiving and inseminating, right? These are two completely different priorities. Completely different priorities. He's talking about making a baby. He's talking about baby making, and she's talking about making a baby, and these are two completely different things, right? The joking, right? The fun makes it seem like you are excited and eager, right? So, but she says she didn't go off the birth control for about 2 months, so she was on birth control. You see that? She says she wants a child, but she's still on birth control. So she can have the birth control for as long as she wants. It's her body, her choice. But as soon as he takes birth control, then it's a problem, then it's an absolute problem, right? But she was on birth control for 2 whole months after they got married, and as soon thereafter, she doesn't say how soon. It could have been a year. She was pregnant with Joy. However, following the birth of their first child, Joy, she started to notice her husband growing distant. I bet he did. He must have seen the price tag on that delivery and that hospital bill, and his mind must have flipped. Because if he had medical insurance and they hit him with a copay from a private hospital, he must have thought, oh my God, this is just the copay. What's the full amount? I'll tell you the full amount, Chris. It's 30,000 US dollars just to bring the baby here. So he's having it, he's having a tough time. Forget all the stuff that's gone on for the 9 months before that. You know, he's seeing it. She said, I noticed Chris become distant during my first pregnancy, but when I asked him about it, he just said he had a lot in his mind, being a new father. I bet you did, Chris. I bet the reality of those jokes came crashing down. Notice how in the previous two paragraphs, it is nothing but jokes. Chris is an absolute clown. And suddenly the baby comes. Now he's dead quiet. What happened to all the jokes, Chris? What happened to all the jokes, right? Suddenly you have a lot on your mind as a new father. I bet you do. You have 30 years of this. You are looking at 30 years of this, and she's already starting to lose it. You know, that, I don't know what they call it, that thing that happens, that post pregnancy depression. I don't have the name. I don't have the name. I wasn't expecting to discuss it, but I should have been, you know. This happens apparently to women after they have kids. And after witnessing a childbirth video, I can absolutely understand why you would go through severe depression. Severe depression. But Chris is now realizing that he's now going to be dealing with a woman who could, quite frankly, be depressed for 5 to 10 years, undisclosed, right? Nobody knows for how long. And she wants to be giving birth to more kids. So you're going to be dealing with this for years and years. And when he saw the price tag, oh Lord, I saw the price tag and I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't the one paying it. Just looking at it made me think, no, no. So Chris became distant and he changed. Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did, Chris. Apparently, the couple had an open phone policy. Oh, this is getting messy and messy. I mean, it's the deception and then pretending that you're not deceiving each other with this open phone policy. I do not have an open anything policy. Not a phone, not a door, not a laptop, and especially not that bank account. Let's continue. They had an open door policy, meaning they were both allowed to go through each other's phones whenever they liked. These people have two phones. One of them has two phones. Chris's wife searched through his mobile expecting signs of cheating but saw nothing. So she thought he was cheating, right? Which might have been better, I suppose, but women always think you're cheating. I mean, I think a woman's biggest paranoia is losing her man to another woman, right? While there's a certain circumstance where a woman would be with a man who already has a counterpart, but the woman who is the counterpart doesn't want to lose her man to this woman. It's really egotistical, right? It's really egotistical. So to the point where they're really paranoid about this. So the first thing they think that's happening when there's something wrong, they think it's because of another woman. And rightfully so, because like women, a woman who sees you in a relationship with a counterpart is probably going to want to do something to that relationship. So maybe, they don't want to see other women happy, right? They won't let another woman be happy when they could be that person. Men are different. When a man is having an affair with a counterpart, they're not going to offer to pay those bills. They'll leave you to be with your man and cheat with you in secret and in private, right? So yeah, she thought it was cheating because they always think it's cheating. She found nothing. Fast forward a year after. Wow. So this went on for a year. We're sleeping through the night and I'm back to work. So she did go back to work. Well, I mean, she only has one child, so she can go back to work. She's not pregnant anymore, right? So remember what I told you? If she had had a second child, she wouldn't have gone back to work, and that 20,000 would have been, it would have meant nothing. But after a few months with no baby, no pregnancy, and a year, she has no choice but to go back to work and make some money, right? What did she say? Saw my doctor and was cleared to try for a bundle of joy. So a year later, she was sleeping through the night and I'm back to work. She went to see the doctor and the doctor said it's okay. You can go ahead and get pregnant and start for a second baby. And Chris seemed very enthusiastic at this point. So yeah, absolutely he's enthusiastic. He knows he can't get pregnant, and he knows he's about to be intimate more than 8 times a month, right? He's about to get it on a regular basis, which is higher than the average. So of course he's excited, and he's gonna do it with absolutely no consequences. He even downloaded an app to track my fertility cycle so we could make the most of my ovulation times. Chris, you're a star. So he keeps track with her ovulation, knowing that this is the point of time when women want to be intimate the most, right? It's the time of the month when women desire intimacy the most. So he's really cashing in on this, right? Like he's about to have a grand old time, right? He's really gonna get it, right? Knowing that she won't be pregnant, she's gonna be determined to try harder and harder. She's gonna try all kinds of things, all kinds of things. Oh, Chris. And now you've got an app to track her. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. She continues, we had a lot of fun, I bet you did. And he was always very passionate. Of course he was. But 6 months of trying with no pregnancy, I started to worry. 6 months, Chris. You kept her on the hook for 6 months. Oh, Chris, this guy's an artist. This guy's an artist. I'd voice my concern and Chris would brush them off. So I tried to be patient. But then almost 2 years passed, and Joy is growing up by herself. Chris, he's got her going for 2 months. I mean, I can only imagine consoling her. Like, it must be tiring, but on the other side, she's really giving you a tremendous experience at a very low cost, right? I mean, she's doing it all by herself. She's initiating, she's exploring, she's experimentative, she's taking things to get her in the mood. Oh, wow. Wow, he really had a great time. This is the power of the vasectomy. This is the power of vasectomy, you know. It builds a certain desire in people to want to prove or disprove it, you know. They know something really is happening here, and they go to doing what they always do, the predictable thing, the human thing. But when the results don't come, they just try harder. Chris must have just been loving it. All the while, poor Joy is growing up by herself. Chris. I mean, this is just a masterful performance of deception by our friend here, Chris. I mean, he really played that part well. You know, he really played that part well. Just keeping her going, years of this, right? But you know, reading this article makes me think that now perhaps I myself should exercise a little bit more patience with the vasectomy in order to get this type of theatrical outcome, right? This crescendo of deception, this just ball of just lies that this web, this entangled web of lies. This is what the Grandmaster calls the divine manipulation of the thread. That's what Chris is doing here. Oh, he's weaving that thread, isn't he? Let's continue. Following a trip to a specialist who told her there was nothing wrong with her. Oh, she went to see a specialist. Oh, Chris. But she is just escalating this thing, right? She's really going all the way. She's going to see a specialist. Oh, I don't even know what to say. After 6 months of trying for a baby, the mom of one was shocked to find a secret appointment her husband had made months before, whilst reassuring her a baby would come eventually. No, wait a minute now. How did following a trip to a specialist, it was at the specialist that she found a secret appointment? How did she find that secret appointment? How did she find? She was told. Somebody at the specialist told the wife that your husband had come in while back. We remember him. Or they went through the files, they said, what's your last name? And they typed in the last name and two names came up. Right? And they said, is your initial C, or is it, I don't know, J? And she said, oh, I'm J. C is my husband. And they said, oh, that's interesting. Chris was here. C is Chris, right? Chris was here a few months ago. Really? Oh, it's unraveling. It's unraveling. Well, I went to Chris with this knowledge and he was very upset. I bet he was disappointed in himself. I went to a fertility specialist. So Chris is upset that she went to a fertility specialist after he went to a fertility specialist. Man, guys, don't get married, man. This is the kind of deception that you find. You know what I mean? So she had a secret appointment at a fertility specialist where she discovered his secret appointment months before. So she's upset that Chris was a few steps ahead of her. which is what the vasectomy does. It puts you all the way at the end of the game, and they're all still trying to play the game. It puts you beyond the possibility of defeat. She has to go to a specialist to find out the truth. This is the power of the vasectomy. You won't find out the truth through normal means. You have to go deeper and pay a higher price. And then perhaps accidentally you might uncover a secret appointment. Oh, not a secret appointment. And now he's upset. I explained. I thought something might have gone wrong during my pregnancy. Concerned that I may be blocked or infertile somehow. She thought she was blocked or infertile. She even thought that something had gone wrong in the original pregnancy. Oh, she came up with everything, every excuse. He said, why not wait and just let nature take its course? Chris, those are the magic words. Let me read those magic words again. He said, why not wait and just let nature take its course, magic? And I said, our little girl is almost 3 and growing up by herself. Nature will not be taking its course. Not with us, never, no way. But those are magical words by Chris, knowing full well that he has circumvented God's plan and that no nature will be taking any course. And all the while, their little girl is almost 3. So 3 years of this tremendous deception has been going on. I mean, this is a lifelong art, people. You embrace the deceptive arts and you live it out. I reminded him of our plans, and he just nodded and said, all we can do is try. I bet you could. I bet you could try and try and try again, Chris. I asked if he would see a fertility specialist, and he got angry, saying there's nothing wrong with him and we don't have the money for fertility treatments anyway. This was a mistake. This was a mistake. When I read it the first time, I realized this was a mistake, and this is why. This confused me, she continues. Since we do have money and have my savings and are doing pretty well. So she has the money, she has the savings, and they've got income coming in. So for Chris saying that money was the problem, I think that was the wrong deception to use. I would have used the previous deception. I would have said, look, I went to the fertility clinic to get checked up. So, because I saw that, months had gone by, it's been years, and our sweet baby Joy is in fact growing up by herself. So I went to the fertility specialist and tried to, see if I could see what I could see. And what I saw was that there's nothing wrong with me. So we're both pretty healthy. And what we need to do is try harder and more frequently and more regularly. Just keep trying, and let nature take its course. Oh, powerful words by Chris. Poetry, man. Poetry. It was time for some serious detective work. You see, now she's really suspicious and she's going in. Chris's wife took it upon herself to double check all possibilities on her husband's phone and finally hit gold. Oh, she got you. See, it's that paper trail again. You leave a paper trail, somebody's gonna walk down that path, right? And now she's double checking all the possibilities. You see, the counterpart lives for this. This is their favorite part of relationships. Suspecting dirt and then going out to find it. And of course, they always do, right? When he went to sleep, oh, guys, remember, you have to sleep with these people. You have to sleep with these people. I generally try to not let people sleep in my house because then I have to sleep and I don't want them catching me asleep. It's one of the things. It's one of my policies to really let nobody see me sleeping or let anybody see me during my sleep hours. Because if I'm not sleeping, then I'm absolutely tired and completely ineffective. So those hours, I completely lock myself up, right? I know I'm sounding extreme and paranoid, but even if I'm with a counterpart, I'd much rather prefer to be awake with a counterpart. And if it's time to sleep, I'm out. I'm leaving, right? I'll sleep in the hotel or whatever. But I'm really paranoid about finding myself asleep with somebody who can wake up and then do whatever they want. And they're gonna do it when you're sleeping. No one is gonna do something to you when you wake. They're gonna do it behind your back or they're gonna do it while you're sleeping. And this, when he was sleeping, is when she found gold. So this is your weakest time. Like you need to organize your sleep. And this is one thing that I need to do with a counterpart. Like, I really need to stop letting these people spend the night. And I need to stop spending the night with them because I don't know what they'll do. And then I don't even sleep well because I'm paranoid already. So that sleep isn't worth anything, to be honest with you. When he went to sleep, I decided to go through his phone again and went back through his calendar and call logs. Well, she has a date, which is enough. So she doesn't have to go through everything, everything, everything. She just has to look at what you've been saying the weeks before and the weeks after. So even if it's been years, anything during the month, those 30 days of you doing something or you getting a vasectomy, she's going to find something there for sure. I noticed about 8 months after Joy was born. Wow. This was 2 years ago. Joy is almost 3 now. There was a blocked day indicating it taken off from work. But it was in the middle of the week, and I don't remember any sort of special occasion behind why he'd take this random day off. Well, you see, now she's looking for things. So any day where there's a gap or an unusual activity or in an hour that's unaccounted for, she's going to find a reason to associate that with some type of problem. So, but in this case, she did happen to be right, right? So she may have been wrong many times, and they don't have to be right many times. They only have to be right one time. So she could have been wrong 1,000 times, and then she was right one time, and that one time made up for all of the other effort. But it's one thing that I say to you also. I also say try and get it on a weekend, right? And then try not to miss work. So if you can, go to work and then take half the day or something, right? And then you have part of the weekend or the whole weekend to recover, right? But don't, and again, like you can't help it, right? I'm trying to give advice where you don't act this out, but you can't help it. You also need to get the vasectomy when the doctor approves it. So I was fortunate enough to get mine on a Friday. But if the doctor had approved it on a Thursday, I would have done it on a Thursday because it was either that day or you wait another 2 weeks for the operation room to be open on the day and the time that you want. So there's really no easy way of doing it. You just have to decide you're going to do it and then live with it. And that's what he did, right? But in the process of all that, he left a paper trail, he left conversation, and he had a gap in schedule. Oh man, he did everything wrong. He really did a lot of things wrong. The one thing he did right was get the vasectomy, but his deception is unraveling quickly. He's got a random day off. I went through the call logs and found an office number about a week before, of course, when he made the appointment. And I Googled the number to a local business where I could get a vasectomy appeared. So, yeah, of course. And there you go, right? All the proof and evidence she needs. It's all written right there. It's in your phone. You got a day, a week before you made the appointment. It all falls apart. It all fall apart. It does in the end. That's why you get the vasectomy. So now she knows, what is she going to do? Really, what is she going to do, right? So I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I instantly felt cold all over, then started to panic. The power of the vasectomy. The power of the vasectomy. I mean, this lady has been through every emotion that you can imagine, right? From being left at sea in months of confusion and desperation, right? And now she's cold all over, and then a panic settles in. She knows she is in the grasp of a vasectomite. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do. She knows the truth now. And it's terrible. When they discover that vasectomy and they know your real power and they want to supersede that power, but they know they can't. And so they go cold and they panic. It was time to drop the bombshell on Chris. No, 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 no. He dropped the bombshell on you. All you're doing is just telling Chris about the bombshell that he just dropped on you. But he saw the drop coming. He saw the drop coming years ago, right? She wrote, I woke him up and confronted him. She's always doing things when he's sleeping. She's always doing something when he's sleeping. This man can get no sleep in his house. She waits for him to sleep, then she wakes him up. Confronts him while he's weak. He just stared at me while I went off and admitted babies were harder than he thought, and he felt like my first pregnancy took forever. You just woke him up. Of course, he's going to stare at you, right? But now you're going off. And now he's just telling you the truth. This is what I've been saying all along. Chris is only admitting what many fathers will not admit, and that babies were harder than he thought. Fatherhood is the single most difficult thing you'll ever do in your life. I'm telling you, you can go to war, you can go to prison, you can run a business in a sea full of sharks and survive, but you will not survive fatherhood. It will rip you apart. Right? People say it changes your life. Oh no, it doesn't change it. It destroys it. And Chris, he felt that one time and went and got a vasectomy in secret. He knew his wife wouldn't understand. He didn't want to have this fight, because this is the fight that he was trying to avoid. The difference is now he's having this fight from a position of advantage. This is a completely different discussion than what they would have had had he not get the vasectomy. Now he can just tell her the truth, And he felt like the first pregnancy took forever. What he means by that is that he endured so much suffering for so long. From the minute that she got pregnant, she was insufferable. And it just went on and on and on. And it took so long that after she had the baby, he was like, I never want to go through that again. And she wanted to put him through it 3 more times. And he was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this is really what it's about right here. She goes the long way around, but she eventually gets to hitting the nail on the head. These babies, these kids that they're telling you to have, these kids are no joke. These kids are not jokes. They're going to run right through your pockets. They're going to finish your patience and they're going to exhaust your time. You will have nothing left. You will have nothing left but memories. And the good memories that you're holding on to are few and far between. I mean, these kids have ruined birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, every occasion, they've ruined it. And the one occasion they didn't ruin, that's the one that you choose to remember? I think not. Chris did the right thing here. And he's telling the truth. It's tough to be a dad, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just get a vasectomy. It's cheaper, it's better, it's more efficient. Chris felt this one time and went and got a vasectomy. I'm telling you, you don't need to experience that one time. You don't need to experience that one time. Now he can't even get no sleep. He can't sleep. He's being spied on. He's being snooped on. People are trying to control what he does with his member, with his parts. He can't even have a secret meeting with a specialist who, by the way, is it's doctor patient confidentiality. They are supposed to keep your secrets, but you can't keep them from the counterpart. They will dig and dig and dig while you sleep. All night long she's digging. She's not sleeping. She's sleep deprived and she's paranoid and she's in the sea out there at sea, in a sea of confusion and depression. And now she's cold. Huh? All because Chris didn't want to have any kids. Chris, you did the right thing. And I commend you for your wisdom and decision-making abilities. Now, staying with her mother, she cannot bear to look at the messages from her husband and expressed a state of disbelief, saying, "I couldn't believe it." Yes, that's what disbelief means. Adding that she felt stupid and disgusted. Oh, these emotions are so strong. She was cold, she was panicked, now she's stupid and she's disgusted. Emilia Randall, take a bow. This article is everything. It's everything we could have asked for and more. She added, "I packed my things, Joy and her things, and drove to my mom's house. I can't believe my little girl is going to grow up alone." I mean, Chris lied to everyone. He lied to the kids, he lied to the wife, and now the grandmother's involved in these lies. He lied to the specialist, he lied to the people at work. I mean, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. This is a masterful performance by our protagonist here, Chris. The woman issued an edit to her original post, making it clear she didn't coerce her husband, emphasizing that he repetitively agreed and accepted her wishes for a big family. I think not. I think not. Saying they had always said we'd have at least 4 kids. I mean, she didn't make any adjustments, the wives. Like, she didn't adjust any of her synapses to incoming stimuli, right? And this is what adaptation is, right? You adjust your synapses to face the reality of changing stimulation. You just had a baby. It is a shocking, difficult, expensive, frustrating, painful experience. To want to do that again is just to punish yourself. And Chris didn't want to do that. Chris didn't want to do that anymore. And I commend him for taking matters into his own hands and taking control of his future. And one thing that this article demonstrates is that once you get that vasectomy, I mean, they can dig, they can twist, they can turn, they will go through every type of emotion. They'll blame themselves, they'll blame their biology, They will get depressed. They will be in an ocean of confusion, in a sea of confusion. They'll feel cold. They'll feel abandoned. They'll feel every emotion because you know what they are really feeling? What they are really feeling is they are feeling powerless against you. This woman, the wife, the counterpart, she's feeling stupid and disgusted because she thought she had power over this man. She wanted a certain amount of children for whatever her reasons. She thought that she could use the intimacy that she gave to induce this man into stupidity, and she did for the first child. But the shock of having that child took the stupidity right out of him. And this is really what happens to a lot of men. When you have that first child, it knocks some sense into you. And you then pause and change, and you try to get married, and you try to build a family, and you try to build some typological structure around this thing that is going to ruin you. When what you should do is do what Chris did and go get that secret vasectomy and go and hide it, right? I mean, don't make the mistakes that he did. He was weaving a hell of a thread. He really manipulated that divine thread all the way through, all the way through. And, you know, he left one string, and they just pulled it and pulled it and pulled it, and it all came out. And eventually, I mean, they keep getting you when you're sleeping, man. She got him when he was sleeping. Every time she wants to hit him with something, she's waiting for him to sleep because she knows that's when he's weakest. That's when he's at his most tired. And that's when she can equalize her strength against his weaknesses. And he just told her the truth, man. I don't want to have these kids. I do not want to have any more kids. One kid was terrible. It was terrible. You want to do this 3 more times? I'm not doing that. I'm absolutely not doing that. And there's a married man right now in his family feeling completely powerless, right? Feeling like he doesn't have the options that he needs to have. And that's because you know you can get your counterpart pregnant anytime. And you know that they control this process. And while you want to get intimate, you may not always want to get pregnant. And there's a reason why Chris didn't tell his wife about the vasectomy. It's because he knew that she would respond the way that she did. As soon as she found out, she overreacted and she moved out. Now she's living with her mother. Now there's 3 women trying to live on one income. And what do you think Chris is going to do? He's a single man with no wife and no kids and a vasectomy. He's got every option available to him and no responsibilities. This is the best case scenario. This is the single best thing he could have done. And when she leaves, I mean, Chris can't say, I don't know why she left. He knows why she left. But he also knows that if she meets another man, she's just taking a tremendous risk. She's really taking a tremendous risk. Now, she can still have 3 more kids, but those are not going to be Chris's kids. And 18 years is better than 30. I mean, those 30 years, those 3 kids, we're going to add 30 years of just hardship, just trepidation, pain, suffering, non-stop labor, ingratitude, disrespect. And they're going to put him in a tutu. They were going to put him in a tutu. Now that he's got a vasectomy, that guy's not wearing a tutu. I guarantee you Chris will never wear a tutu. And he saw that first experience and he realized, man, they're going to put me in a tutu. They're absolutely going to put me in a tutu. And he didn't know what he was going to do. So he went and got a vasectomy. So please go get a vasectomy, guys. This is the message. This is what it's about. I'd like to thank Amelia Randall for that wonderful article. This is truly a work of art. You are a gifted writer. Yes, it is Amelia Randall. I thought I got that wrong. This was a truly great article. and the vasectomites appreciate your skillful portrayal of this tremendous deception. Wow, these people are such liars. I mean, Chris, he's an artist. He's a real artist. The way he betrayed his wife's dreams to save himself, oh, that's masterful. We can learn a lot from Chris, from what he did right and also from what he did wrong, because he made some mistakes. And we all do in the deceptive arts. Mistakes are very common. People are going to discover your lies. That's why you don't do them at work. You know, just keep everything factual and keep yourself clean. Be effective, be productive, because they're going to catch your lies. And when they do, you still want to make sure that you come out winning on the other side. Because now she left him, and now she has to pay all those bills and all those costs. And his costs just went from, like, 120%, of which 20% was debt, to right down to just 36, 35%. He's just paying rent, car, house, and clothing, food, and that's it. Food, clothing, housing for one person, transportation, not a problem. For 4 people, 5 people, which is what was really going to be the situation, was going to be a husband, a wife, and 4 kids. That's 6 people. And don't let her have twins. Now you're up to 7 people. There's no way you're going to sustain 7 people in this economy. No way. Chris did the right thing, and you should do the right thing too. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. This is the ultimate move. This is the ultimate move. Then you can leave them in a sea of confusion and desperation for months. This is the Ancient One. This is the Bachelor Supreme and the master of the deceptive arts. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and I will always appreciate it. Have a nice day.